So before I get into this video, I just want to make sure that I put out there that this is my opinion, my specific opinion, and that shouldn't influence your choices on whether you like the starter or not. This is just how I see the starter. I personally think they are all very cute, and especially after making this video, I grew to love them a lot more, but this is just my opinion, so please don't take it serious. But with that out of the way, hey there, I'm Kamikaze, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the first evolution tiers of starters, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so I ordered these in order of which the Pokemon appear in-game, or rather in generation. So we got Generation 1, Generation 2, 3, 4, etc, etc. And I got our new boys too for Generation 9, or girls, whatever you want to call them. Got the fellas. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to start with Generation 1. Anyway, no more rambling and gambling, let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and start with Generation 1. And right off of the bat, we got Bulbasaur, and I can tell you already, I love Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur has always been the starter that I pick, and sometimes I'll go with Squirtle, but for the most part, Bulbasaur, that's my boy. Like, I love Venusaur, I love Ivysaur, but Bulbasaur specifically, like, he's such a cutie. Cutest fella. Instant S. I know it's probably weird to start out with an S rank, but Bulbasaur's perfect. Charmander, now, I mean, I think Charizard is cool, but honestly, the other two evolutions, in my opinion, they're kind of alright. I've never really been a big fan of Charmander. I know this is probably weird, but I've always thought it looks just like Squirtle without a shell and orange, with a flame on its tail. I don't know. I don't think Charmander is the same energy as Bulbasaur. Yeah, definitely a cutie, but not quite as much as Bulbasaur. I'm probably gonna have to put him at B. Truth be told. Squirtle, I like turtles. I have a pet turtle, so, I mean, turtles have always been cool to me. And I like Blastoise, truth be told. But Squirtle is not nearly the same levels for me as Bulbasaur. Like I said, I would pick Squirtle sometimes when I played in Generation 1. I think Bulbasaur still takes the cake for best Generation 1 starter, in my honest opinion. But Squirtle's not far behind, so Squirtle gets to go to A. I think that's a pretty fair treatment. Now we're going to go into Generation 2. And this is probably one of my favorite generations. I think, for me, my favorite generation is always, it's a tie between Generation 2 and Generation 4. And Generation 3 is honestly in there too, because those were the first three generations that I kind of got started with. Generation 2 is that's a pretty soft spot for me, because that was when I was really starting to get into Pokemon. I started playing Heart Gold, Soul Silver. It was always hard to pick a starter, but Chikorita is what we're going to start with here. And I honestly think Chikorita is a little underrated. I mean, that might be a bit of a strange opinion, but I feel like everybody either goes with Cyndaquil or Totodile. I personally like Chikorita. I like its entire evolution line, but I will not lie, I usually don't pick Chikorita. I've only ever picked it maybe like once or twice on my adventures. I don't know. There's something about it where I don't know if it has the same charm as Cyndaquil and Totodile, but I think it's still pretty cute. So I'll put it into B. Not a bad fella, but not the best. Then we go to Cyndaquil, who is probably my favorite starter of all time. I will always pick Cyndaquil for my Johto journeys. I just really love Cyndaquil. I love its entire evolution line. It's very cute. I love the fire. I love the colors. You know, I like the combination of the cream with the teal. I think that's a very nice touch. And yeah, Cyndaquil is a great boy. Blessed. Another S right there. Then we move to Totodile. I'm gonna be completely honest here and say Totodile, the entire Totodile line, truth be told, has never really been one of my favorites. I think it has a very nice color scheme. I like the little name puns that they kind of go with. But no, Totodile honestly never really struck a harmonic chord in me. I've honestly kind of just always seen it as like, yeah, it exists, but it's not personally one of my favorites. So I'm gonna have to probably put it in C. Sorry about that, Totodile. That about does it for Generation 2. And now we move to Generation 3, which Generation 3 was actually my first ever Pokemon game, so a lot of these starters have I've used them all several times over. I can't really pick a favorite from this generation. I love them all equally, but Generation 3 holds a soft spot in my heart because that was my first Pokemon game, Pokemon Sapphire. So I definitely really have a connection with all these starters. I would always switch it up whenever I played, whether it was Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. I had all three kind of as a kid, so I would always switch it up. Starting it out with Trico. Me personally, I think Trico was the one that I picked the least. But I did enjoy using it. I honestly really liked its entire evolution line. And I like Trico because, again, I have a pet turtle, but we also, where I live, there's a lot of reptiles and lizards. I just love reptiles in general. So Trico was always cool. I always thought it was like the lizards in my backyard. So to me, Trico was a bit special. So I think I'm going to put Trico in B. I would put him in A, but honestly, like I said, I really didn't use Trico too much. I mostly would swipe between Torchic and Mudkip. Moving forward, we got Torchic, we got Mudkip. We're gonna start out with Torchic, and Torchic was my very first starter ever. Like, that was my first Pokemon starter that I ever picked, and the reason I picked it is just because I thought it was cute. I thought it was like little fried chicken. That was adorable. So it's always had a little bit of a special place for me. I picked it. I didn't really know what to expect from it, knowing that it would become like a Kung Fu warrior chicken, but no, Torchic is pretty special to me. I know it's probably one of the more popular starters in terms of both Generation 3 and just in general, but I still quite like it. I don't think I would like it quite as much as most starters, because like I said, the Generation 3 starters were I like them because they bring me a lot of nostalgia, but truth be told, I could probably go with a couple others as my favorites. I would put Torchic in B, just because I didn't use Torchic as much as I did Mudkip, but I still have those feelings towards it that, you know, it's a very special Pokemon to me. Moving to Mudkip, I usually didn't pick Mudkip as a kid. I thought it was kind of unusual at first, but you know, a couple years later when I started to play the games again, I really kind of started to get into Mudkip. I thought it was cool, and Swampert was even better. I didn't even know you could get Swampert in the game because the rival never ever had the third evolution, to my understanding. It's been quite a while since I've played Generation 3, but I don't think they ever got a third tier evolution. When I first saw Swampert, Mudkip instantly became one of my favorites, starter-wise. I don't think it's S tier for me, just because, like I said, Generation 3, they're not starters that I typically would go for if I had the first choice in any starter in the world, but Mudkip is still pretty special to me, so I'm gonna put it in A, just because it has more of an emotional connection to it than I do Trico and Torchic, but it's also just not a super duper tier like Bulbasaur and Cyndaquil. Now we move to quite possibly my favorite generation of all time, and probably the favorite generation of a lot of you guys, and that's Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. And I'm gonna be honest with you here, it's pretty tricky to make a call here on who I would take out of these all. But starting out with Turtwig, I actually have never used Turtwig. To my understanding, I've never used Turtwig in a Generation 4 playthrough. Not once. Which is a little disappointing because I really like Torterra, but Turtwig honestly never really kind of stood out to me that much. I think it's cute. Again, it's a turtle, and I like turtles, but Turtwig, no. I never picked him. And I hate that I have to make that confession because I love these guys so much, but I honestly never really found too much gleam out of Turtwig. But yeah, as much as I don't want to do this, I'm going to probably have to put him in C, just because I have not ever used Turtwig in a playthrough, so I can't really make a super good opinion about it. But yeah, it's a little disappointing, and I don't like to admit that, but maybe I'll come back and play Generation 4 and I'll actually use Turtwig, and that's like that's the factor that would draw people to watch it. I don't know. We'll see. Now, to Chimchar, Chimchar I think was the first Pokemon I used when I started playing Gen 4, but then I switched to Piplup, and then I switched back to Chimchar. Like, when I played Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I picked Chimchar because I wanted Infernape really bad for some strange reason. I like Chimchar, I like Infernape, but I'm not really 100% sure if I would put this over Piplup. I really can't tell because, like I said, I kind of like these two equal. These were the two starters that I would always pick. I honestly think that I would put Chimchar in A just because I like Chimchar a lot and I really like its evolution line. I just think it's a refreshing concept, honestly. Like, it has some very vibrant colors on it, and I just like the vibe that it gives off. It's very cute. Speaking of cute, of course, there's Piplup, which Piplup and I used Piplup a lot in my original playthroughs of Generation 4. I really liked Empoleon, but I just always thought that Piplup was just like a cutie pie. Like, I loved its cry as a kid. I would listen to it on repeat because it sounded so, like, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It sounded silly, but it also sounded cute in a cute way. Silly. It was a goofy. It's a penguin. Like, who doesn't love penguins? I love penguins. Penguins are awesome. But I'm not 100% sure. I mean, you know what? I think it could be S tier. I think Piplup is S tier, now that I think about it. The reason I say that is just, again, Piplup, I like Empoleon, I like Primplup, but I think Piplup is my favorite. And I keep forgetting that I'm actually doing this based on the first starter tier. So yeah, Piplup is S tier. Every other evolution, honestly, so-so. But yes, Piplup, I just love Piplup because I love Piplup. That's pretty much it. That's why it gets S tier, because it's so dead-gum cute. I love Piplup. And now Generation 5, which Generation 5, definitely an interesting generation. Me, personally, Generation 5 was a really good generation. I feel like that was where we got a lot of really cool designs, and it was a good story. Before I go off topic with that, but the starters is kind of where we draw the conclusion, and this is who you start your adventure with. And I mean, I feel honest truth, aside from maybe like Generation 7, I think these starters are honestly probably my least favorites. I hate to say it. I had one that I really liked from the start, and the other two were kind of just like eh, and that would be Snivy, of course. I always really liked Snivy, and then when I saw Superior, that sealed the deal. I like Snivy because I like the little like smug face it has. And I just like how it looks. It's a very aesthetically pleasing Pokemon, and I think a lot of people like Snivy. I might be wrong on that, but it's just, I don't like it because in game, Snivy is not really as good as the other two. Design-wise, Snivy is really cool. So I would put Snivy in A tier, honestly, truth be told. The other two, Tepig and Oshawott, I know that people usually are drawn to Oshawott. They think Oshawott's cute, and Tepig is just Emboar's amazing, but I've honestly kind of, these two again, I don't really have too many feelings on them. Tepig is honestly, it's not bad, it's not really the best. I think Tepig is kind of cute, it's kind of goofy, but it's kind of like average for me at least, so I would put it in B. Tepig to me is probably the second best after Snivy. That brings me to Oshawott, which I can already tell I'm probably gonna get a lot of backlash from saying this, but I have never really honestly liked this evolution line. Like Oshawott is cute, yeah, don't get me wrong, but I'm not the hugest fan of it. Honestly, it's kind of just eh. To me, I've never really liked Oshawott all that much. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a cool concept where he has the little seashell as a weapon, but no, Oshawott never really stood out to me. And I honestly think that its entire evolution line is kind of so-so, but talking about Oshawott specifically, I just think it's kind of average. And so unfortunately, as much as I hate to do it, to our little guy right here, he's gonna be the first D tier Pokemon. Sorry about that, Oshawott. I hate to do it to you. Moving on to Generation 6. Generation 6 is an interesting region an interesting generation in my opinion. I really liked a lot of the designs that came out of this generation, and the starters are no exception. I think this was probably one of the most unique sets of starters we've gotten, considering the fact that their typing and their weaknesses are quad, grass and fighting, psychic and fire, water and dark. I think that's a pretty cool thing that Game Freak did. I mean, putting that aside, you know, just looking at the actual stars themselves, I kind of, again, really had one that I was close to that I would usually like choose, and then I had the other two that kind of were just like there. And unfortunately, for Chespin, that will have to be our, that'll have to be another C ranking. And the reason I do that is just because Chespin, I think Chespin's, you know, he's nifty. But again, compared to the other two, not really anything to write home on. That entire evolution line, again, for me, you probably will notice a trend where some evolution lines really spark something in me and the rest are just kind of like, okay, whatevs. But Chespin's alright. I wouldn't put it in D because, I mean, I feel too bad about that. And again, I think Chespin's really cute. A little cuter than Oshawott, but it's not quite anything special to me, at least. Hopefully there's redemption for the other two evolutions if I were to do a tier list on that, but spoiler alert, probably not likely. Anyway, the next two evolutions, Fennekin and Froakie. This is kind of a no-brainer here, but I actually really like Fennekin. I think Fennekin is pretty popular, at least its two other evolutions. I don't really want to get into why, but I like Fennekin because I think it's a very cute Pokemon. I've said that about all the evolutions, or all the starters pretty much, but Fennekin just gives off like big pet vibes. Like I could totally see myself having a pet Fennekin. The little ears, the tail, the cute little fox. I love it. Super, super cute. I would probably have to put Fennekin at A because, again, big pet vibes. Gotta love it. Froakie, I like reptiles. Yes, I like amphibians. Yes. Froakie, I don't know. I've always gotten a bit of a weird vibe from Froakie. Its other two evolutions I kind of like a little more, but Froakie itself has kind of always made me feel a little, like, unnerved. Not in a bad way. Like, just look at his eyes. He's staring at you. He's staring into your soul. Like, I think that's a little bit, you know, strange. I wouldn't want to have a Pokemon that's just constantly staring at me and looking at the Pokemon right next to it. I mean, yeah. No brainer. But yeah, Froakie, I'd like, but I don't know. I think Froakie would probably be B. I would put B. B is kind of like, I like them, but they're kind of not really super duper special. Well, no, I wouldn't say super duper special, but they're like, I like the design kind of, or it's just It's kind of middle average, I would say. C is mostly where I put my average, like I don't really have anything to say about them. And B, I would say, is more like, I like them, but I don't like them to the degree of these two. So now we're in Generation 7. We're kind of starting to get to the home stretch here. And Generation 7 is honestly one of my favorite generations because I just love the vibe of Alola. And I think in terms of starters, these are definitely interesting. The colors that they went with for these starters are a lot darker, and I think that's a nice contrast because all the other starters from every other generation, they're kind of bright. I would say most of them are pretty bright colored, but then we got our Generation 7 guys, they're pretty dark colored. I mean, even Rowlet, who has, you know, a beige color scheme going on, the leaf color is not like the lime green, the bright green that you would typically see on something like Trico or Chespin. It's definitely interesting. Now, in terms of Rowlet, however, I don't like it that much. Honestly, I know that will probably get a lot of backlash, but I've really not ever liked Rowlet that much. And it's not really because I think Rowlet's ugly or anything like that, but it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of things really that I just could kind of cherry pick about Rowlet that I don't quite like. I just don't know if it's like the shape or the face, like those eyes, dude. Going back to Froakie, I mean, it's staring into my soul. Rowlet, yeah. Honestly, Rowlet is probably the second tier Pokemon in my opinion, which again, probably going to get a lot of backlash, but, and judging by this, you can probably tell who I picked in Legends Arceus considering that one is at S and the other two are at D. Anyways, back to the ranking. Litten and Poplio, again, Generation 7 starters are definitely interesting. I feel it's kind of the same as Generation 5 where, you know, I had my main starter that I picked and the others were just kind of like there. But, you know, truth be told, the Generation 7 starters, they're kind of I think my least favorites, but Litten was probably what I would pick the most. I'm not the biggest fan of Incineroar, to be honest with you, but I do like Litten and I do like Torracat because again, I like that pet familiarity, that pet vibe that it gives off, kind of like Fennekin, but I don't think it's the same degree as Fennekin. I think Litten is kind of, it's okay. I'm not the biggest fan of its color choice. I'm not the biggest fan of like the marks on its head. So I'll put it at B. I think in terms of design, it's all right. Poplio, I don't quite like the Poplio line in my honest opinion. I mean, even from the start, it was kind of just like a what the heck kind of Pokemon to me. I'm not really fond of any of its designs, truth be told. I don't dislike them, but I also just kind of, it's a C tier Pokemon for me. I don't really even have anything to say on it. It's just like, yeah, it's alright. I think Primarina's okay, but Poplio, nah, nothing to write home about. Alright, we got two left. Generation 8, Generation 9. And Generation 8, again, another one of my favorite generations. There was a lot of interesting Pokemon, and the starters are no exception. I think this is probably one of the most interesting generations for starters. These starters are pretty cool, in my opinion. I think the first evolution line is probably the one that stands out the most to me. So, getting right into it, Grookey, 100% instant S. I have a Grookey plush. I love Grookey. I've always been a member of the Grookey gang, and I will usually always pick Grookey when I play Sword and Shield. Adorable little monkey with a stick in his hair. What a cutie pie. Scorbunny. I do like Scorbunny. I kind of thought its design was a little bit extra when I first saw it, but it's kind of started to grow on me. Raboot, Cinderace, they're also pretty nice designs, but specifically focused on Scorbunny. I have grown fond of its design. It's not an A tier, or it's not an S tier, but I think it would be A tier. I think Scorbunny is unique. I like the white primarily that we use here, and I like the shade of orange that was picked for the ears and the feet. Good design choice, I believe. Sobble. Sobble was kind of my least favorite, and I feel bad because he's always crying, so maybe it's just him crying because I was mean and I didn't put him in any of the higher tiers. But I'd put Sobble at B. I don't dislike its design. I don't think it's like average or anything like that, but it's not really anything that I would consider a favorite design. But Sobble is definitely, he's a cutie pie, but not as cute as Grookey. 100%, I feel. And now finally, our newest starters, Generation 9. I mean, I'm pretty excited about Generation 9. We really don't know anything about it yet. But I think this is definitely I wouldn't say step in the right direction for starters, but we definitely have some interesting designs going on here. The color choices are very interesting. And I just think that we have a lot of potential here for what we could see for their final starters. I can't really make any judgment based on that yet, but if those designs do eventually come out, and I do a follow-up for this for like 2nd tier, 3rd tier evolutions, then I will definitely put them here, and we'll see. So, I don't know why this is out of order. I think I uploaded it the wrong way, but we'll start with Sprigatito because that's the grass starter, and start with the grass starters anyway. I love Sprigatito, right? I think Sprigatito is a cute little bean, and I'm hoping that it does not end up being bipedal, because that would just be Litten all over again, and I'd be really upset about that. But I am 100% a fan of Sprigatito. I mean, I think it's maybe those eyes that draw me in, but I think you can tell I like pets, and Sprigatito 100% radiates that. It's such a cute little cat, and I love cats a lot. So I put Sprigatito 100% at S. Wholesome, and do not grow. If you become a bipedal, you're instantly going to D. That's all I'm going to say. No, I'm just kidding. That's a little harsh, but don't stand up, okay? Stand on all fours. Remain quadruped. Alright, now we move on to Fuecoco, fire type. I didn't like Fuecoco at first. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was kind of ugly. I know that's kind of mean to say about Fuecoco because it's definitely a cutie, but I think it's cool. It started to grow on me. I like the concept of Fuecoco. If Sprigatito decides to stand up, then I would go Fuecoco gang. So I'll put Fuecoco at A. Definitely a fan of it. He's got some reptilian aspects going on, and I like that. And now we get to Quaxly, and I don't really have anything bad to say about Quaxly, but I think it's just kind of like, yeah, he's there. He's just chilling. Now, I don't know for sure what Quaxly's going to turn into. Like I said, I don't really know what any of the Gen 9 stars are going to turn into yet. We don't know what they look like. But Quaxly is giving me some sailor vibes. I think he's just chilling out on a yacht on a nice summer day. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about him. Not a bad design. I don't know about the blue feet. I think that's kind of strange. But hey, I'm sure there's some sort of design aspect in it. So B. I say B, 100%. And yeah, I think that's going to do it. We've got, this may or may not be a controversial list, I don't know. I kind of see my starters differently, I feel. But yeah, S tier, Bulbasaur, Cyndaquil, Piplup, Grookey, Sprigatito, the best beans of the best beans. A tier, good guys, and nothing bad to say about them, but they're not my favorites of all time. But I would use them on a playthrough, 100%. B, this is where, you know, I kind of start to go, oh, it's alright. But yeah, no, I like all the Pokemon here. I really do. C, not that I don't like these Pokemon, but they're just kind of average to me. And then the D tier, you know, again, I don't dislike any of these guys in particular, but these are just probably my least favorite evolutions, or my least favorite starters. Let me know if you agree with this list. Let me know if something shocked you. Let me know if you don't like the decisions or you do like the decisions, or let me know if you want to see me do another tier list, because I thought this was pretty fun to do, and I'd do it with some other Pokemon. I want to do maybe the 2nd tier, the 3rd tier of evolutions, whenever we get our Generation 9 fellas in their 2nd and 3rd tier, definitely. But yeah, let me know if you agree with the decisions I made here. I'll respond to you accordingly. I want to hear what you guys have to say, genuinely. But with that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, like I said, and I'd definitely like to do more in the future. Again, keep in mind, this is just my opinion. This is what I think of the starters, and it shouldn't be taken seriously. I just wanted to have a little fun with it. So if there were any starters in this video that you particularly liked more than I did, that's completely fine. The cool thing about Pokemon is that we can all enjoy different Pokemon, and we can all dislike certain Pokemon that others might not like in particular. That's why we make these tier lists, just because everybody is curious on what we think of these Pokemon. That's why I made it. I had fun. I hope you had fun too. If you enjoyed, go ahead and subscribe. Turn that bell icon on so you can be instantly notified when I upload a new video, and join the Glaceon gang today. We'd love to have you. I know this was definitely a little bit different from what I typically upload. I know I kind of go with a little more of a calmer vibe, but I wanted to be a little more energetic with this one. With that out of the way, that's the end of the video. I'm Kamikaze, but you can call me Kai. I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, whatever it may be at the time you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.